really started with food.
Yeah.
It's 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So a little over
Just
2 years ago, we were at the chiropractor, and he mentioned the Primal Blueprint, which is a book. It's about the paleo diet. And I read it and started talking to her about maybe we should try this, which is, eliminating bread and potatoes, which are things that we ate every day. We have pasta with every meal almost. So it's hard to get her to buy into it
I was
at first.
not okay with it. I was like, absolutely not. I'm Italian.
Yeah.
And I eat lots of pasta.
Yeah. I do too.
Well, we did for like 10 days, we gave it a shot, and then it really started to make a difference. And
What did you see different?
we both started losing weight almost immediately. And she's got some medical anomalies, really.
Yeah. Weird, like sleeping things, like,
Well, you're a diagnosed narcoleptic.
yeah. So
Really?
that was one thing that I thought, well, maybe I could, instead of taking drugs, which, I've been on medication now I was for 5 years, after I crashed my car falling asleep. I thought, well, I don't really like taking medicine all the time, and maybe this would help with that. And then there were other things, just like mood swings,
Yeah.
like I would just be like a roller coaster, and I have blood sugar issues, and
Yeah.
it sort of all seemed to fit into what this guy, Mark Sisson, was writing about, and how you can sort of get rid of these things through food rather than
Right.
going to the
You'll
doctor
feel a
and
lot
getting-
better, not just
yeah.
lose weight, but
Right.
in all aspects of life,
Right.
you'll feel a lot better.
Right.
It just made sense for us to at least give it a try.
Right.
Once we did and we started to feel better, then we started really getting clean with all of our food, like only grass-fed meat and only pasture-raised chicken and only organic produce. And it got really hard to buy that stuff because it's just not available.
Right.
Right.
I was at my old job and I absolutely hated it. I came home miserable just about every day. And one day in like November, so we've been eating this way for 7 or 8 months.
Yeah.
It was like November, and I said, why don't we just farm? Why don't
Yeah.
we find a piece of property and just farm? I was gonna stay at my old job. We were just gonna buy 5 acres and have a bigger garden and a couple animals in the back, and started looking around and found that you could buy a lot of land for what we could afford. In December, we found this place, and then in March, we signed the paperwork and had a bunch of land and had no idea what to do.
Yeah, I was like, okay, and everybody's so excited, like, yay, your
Yeah.
farm, like, when can we buy stuff? We're like,
Yeah.
we don't even know what
I
we're
remember
doing.
too, like hearing
Yeah.
you guys, and it was just so exciting to like that you guys were actually doing it,
Yeah.
and changing, and here you are now. It's
Yeah,
awesome
and
to
it's
see.
still at that point where
Yeah.
people are like, so when do you
Yeah.
when do you really farm? I'm like, oh, we're farming. It's just what people think farming is.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it takes so much time to get to the point where you're producing
Yeah.
something. you
And
know?
farming can mean different things too.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
That was
as-
my perception, was you guys were gonna have like a cornfield. So
Right.
when me walking in, it was different.
Right.
Yeah.
Than I expected.
I think that's the normal idea. People think you're going
Yeah.
to grow row
Yeah.
crops
Yeah.
and stuff.
Lots
so-
of tractor time and
Right.
silos
Right.
and those kind of things. But
Yeah.
That's so far
Doesn't
from what
have
we're
to be
doing.
that way.
Right.
To do this in an artisanal way, I guess if you could say it like that. More like the Amish do,
Okay.
with as little chemical input as possible, especially when it comes to the food itself. But as little tractor time as possible. And
Where I really decided this was what we should do was not, it was when we went to Virginia for the first time. We went to a convention, and it was a fundraiser for this, for the Farm to Consumer Legal Defense group. And they raise money to help protect farmers who get get under illegal action for all sorts of things. And so a friend of ours at the time invited us to go to this thing, and we met this farmer, Joel Salatin. And he's this amazing, totally different kind of guy. He's all about the natural process, and he's been doing what we are trying to do for his whole life, basically. And we went to that farm, and we got a tour of everything and got to see what we would be doing, essentially.
Like a role model.
Yeah, and I think leaving that convention, we were like, this is awesome. This is what we want to do. Like we need more acres. We can't do 5 acres. I think that's really when we decided, like, I think we could do this for real on the bigger scale. And that's what I remember now that sparked the push to go from the maybe 5 to 10 acre
to being farmers.
Yeah, it was originally finding a new house with some property to, no, let's find property and then figure out the house later.
Those are pretty trying times to have the farm and wanting to be working, because I had already left my old job. But to come here every day and do this kind of work without having a place to set your tools and a place to store some things it was a killer. I was going back. We were staying at my parents' place for a little while, and they're just down the road on Lakeville Lake. But it was, get up in the morning, come out here, no bathroom or anything. It's just very unforgiving.
Right.
I was grilling my lunch every day on a little charcoal grill.
Yeah.
It was great. I was loving it, but it was so hard to get things done.
How did you get that motivation to come back and keep it going?
Well, I knew what I wanted to be in the end, and that's it. That's why I come out here every day, because I know that eventually there's going to be fields of long green grass and a herd of cattle, and it's going to be peaceful and wonderful, and we're going to have all this great food. And there's just so many good things that we want to do every day, and I know that.
But like as humans, we kind of like get down. I mean, we kind of lose that motivation. It comes and goes, right? I mean, like how do you stay focused, and how do you keep that vision?
Luckily,
I think because like where I'm at right now, there's so many different things that we have to do. We got to put up greenhouses, got to put up fences, got to finish the driveway, dig a pond, and do all these things, and just pick one thing and go. I hit roadblocks all the time. Like the coop, I thought would take me a couple weeks. It's about a month in now. It's almost done, but as soon as I kind of lose, I get down on that one day because I need more lumber or more hardware or something, I can literally just turn around and there's something else I can start doing. And it kind of, renews that to have something new and exciting to do every day.
I think too that, this doesn't sound sappy, but having each other and both wanting the same thing so much is helpful. Like he'll get down on something and I'll just, I'll have to, not have to, but I just sort of, naturally like pick you back up, and I get down and you pick me back up. And I mean, I don't think alone we could do that. Like if I was not for this and I was just like, you do whatever you gotta do, I'm doing my job, I don't care. Like, I don't know that it would.
So you feel just as much as invested as in your idea and what you want as he does? Right,
yeah. I mean, I wish, like the ultimate goal is that I do this instead of being a teacher. It just isn't feasible for both of us to not have any income right now, you know. So, but also I feel like I get remotivated just by keeping up with what's going on in other farms and other scenarios. Reading, I mean, I try to avoid reading the news, like what people think the regular news is, but I just finished a book called Gaining Ground, and that book was basically what we're doing. It's a guy, a memoir, and he wrote about how he saved his family farm from a row crop to grazing cattle and the same thing we're doing. And Joel Salatin, the same farmer, was involved in his motivation. And so there's this strange little network of small farmers that are all trying to do the same thing and
support each other.
Yeah, and so having that support and staying connected with people like that has been also, I think, a driving motivation too.
For sure.
Yeah, we've met some pretty incredible people.
Oh, yeah.
Last year I went and did a grazing conference in Mississippi with the two guys who presented the material are like the authority on grazing in America. And so I got to spend 3 days with them all day, every day, talking about this stuff and seeing how their models work. And they helped me put together the whole fence plan, and I ordered the materials through them.
This is crazy. Like, we're reading all these books by these people, and he's on the phone with this guy for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like hey, buddy. Like, I don't know about this and that. And it was just like, I tell my students, I'm like, we know these celebrities. And they're like, oh, like Brad Pitt. I'm like, no, it's totally different celebrity for me.
How has your life changed?
Wow. Well, I don't go to an office anymore, and that's been the absolute best thing that ever happened to me. It saved the relationship with my sister, which is so important. We used to work together for the family business. So now I get to be outside doing stuff I love with my hands, still applying my brain and my education, but I don't have the stress. Now I feel like the work I do every day means something to me for sure, because there is that vision that at the end of all this work, we're going to have this wonderful farm. Working before was like, get to the end of the day so I can go home and do the stuff I want to do.
Right.
And now this is the stuff I want to do.
Yeah, and you
So
get to do it all day.
sitting thinking about how I worked so hard all day and then hurried up, cleaned up, and we were going to go register for the baby shower. And just sitting at dinner, exhausted and thinking, this is awesome. I got to work all day. We're out to this great dinner and just us hanging out. And it's I love life. Very much the same person. My growth has probably all come in just the things that I've learned from doing this. I know a bunch about tractors and building things, and a lot more about soil and the earth and animals. I know more about chickens than I ever thought I would.
I mean, for me, I definitely feel more empathy, sympathy, compassion for people who are trying to do things different. That's been something that has, I think, changed me a little bit, this uphill battle that we're doing, because what we're doing is very different than what the norm is. And so there are people that really make you feel like you're doing the wrong thing. You made the wrong choice. I can't believe you turned down this job that you were set to do something that is so risky. And I think that for me it's made me stronger as a person to be able to talk about why I've done this and why we decided to do something that's so risky, and be more brave about it and not be like, oh, maybe you're right.
To defend it.
Yeah.
Without question, this is what we're doing. We know that it's right, and we know this is what we want to do.
So how do you know it's right? You just feel it?
Feels right. And knowing that other people, we're not the first, knowing other people have done this, and I think that goes back to the motivation. I know we do this. We're the kind of people that if we want to do something, we're going to do it, and there's no failure for us. And so when people get down on us, it's well, you can think that, but we're not going to let it happen. We're going to do exactly what we want to do. How we get there may change. And that's been, the biggest learning experience about this whole thing. It's not going to happen. You think it's going to happen, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And you have to be flexible.
Yes.
The big message for me, what I want to share with people through doing this is food and what we're eating.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this,
Yeah. People really should care more about what they're putting in their bodies. As we figured out that this is really the way we should be living, it became so important to us. We dropped all of the conveniences of our everyday life and really focused on food and healthy choices and things like that.
That's the hardest thing. We've surprised ourselves, I think, with how many people have sort of followed us in this quest for health, and in the beginning everybody made fun of us, and which was fine. We weren't trying to you need to change and you're doing this wrong. It was never like that. We were doing our thing, and the hardest part for people, and it was the same for me in the beginning, was you have your favorite things. You have this idea that this is what's healthy and this is what I know is healthy, and you don't want to do any further research on it, and convenience. Those three things, I think, are the main hurdles that people have to overcome. Once you decide that maybe what I've learned about food isn't the truth, and that maybe I need to just open my eyes a little bit more, then those other two things kind of fall into place. Open-minded, and if you're not, we have friends that refuse still to think that what we're doing is important. Not what we're doing here, but the food part, and looking out for yourself. It's not that important. I've been fine.
Yeah, they
I'm
don't see that it
fine.
has any merit at all. They,
Yeah.
you know, because they feel the same way that they felt 10 years
Right,
ago.
they don't know
They
what
might not
feeling
realize
good
how
is.
crappy it
Yeah.
is.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly. They don't know what feeling good is.